Air travel. It's fast, convenient, and, let's be honest, usually more expensive than we'd like. But have you ever wondered, where does all that money go? Or better yet, how much of that ticket price actually pays for the flight? And how much is pure profit? If you're like most people, you probably think ticket sales are where airlines rake in the big bucks. Hundreds of passengers, paying good money for a seat, all packed into a giant metal tube for hours. It makes sense, right? But the reality is, ticket sales alone barely cover the cost of flying that plane. Airlines often operate on razor-thin profit margins from ticket sales. On average, the profit margin per ticket sits around 3 to 5%, meaning for every $100 you spend, the airline might only pocket $3 to $5 after expenses. So, no, those ticket sales aren't the cash cow you might think. In 2022, for instance, the global airline industry generated around $727 billion in revenue, but net profit was only about $26.4 billion, less than a 4% profit margin across the board. This is because running an airline is a high-cost business. Think about all the expenses: fuel, crew salaries, plane maintenance, airport fees, and on top of all that, high debt from plane leases or loans. And of course, the competition. If one airline drops its fares, the others have to follow suit to avoid losing customers, leading to what's called a race to the bottom in pricing. So, airlines had to get creative. Ticket sales alone don't cut it, so they devised ways to squeeze extra revenue from each passenger, starting with those seats you're crammed into. Ever wonder why there are so many options when it comes to picking a seat? From the basic economy seat where you get nothing but the seat itself, to the luxury lie-flat beds up in first class, there's a whole science and some psychology behind it. Airlines have mastered the art of price segmentation, or what I like to call the wallet-diverse strategy. Simply put, they're designing cabin classes for every type of traveler, from the budget-conscious backpacker to the luxury-seeking business exec. Each cabin class is created strategically to appeal to specific demographics. Economy class is the baseline, the place where most of us end up, packed in like sardines. But if you want a bit more comfort, there's premium economy, which costs more but gives you extra legroom and maybe a glass of wine. For those willing to pay even more, there's business class, with spacious seats that recline into beds, gourmet meals, and exclusive service. Of course, at the top is first class, the holy grail of air travel, where the amenities can border on the ridiculous. We're talking private suites, showers, and even in-flight chefs on certain airlines. To put it in perspective, a round-trip economy ticket from New York to London might cost around $600. That same route in business class would be over $3,000. And a first-class suite can go as high as $8,000 to $10,000, depending on the airline and timing. So, whether you're in economy or first class, rest assured, you're contributing to the airline's bottom line. Now, this next one might surprise you. Frequent flyer programs. You know, those points you collect with every flight, hopefully leading to a free trip to a dream destination one day. But for airlines, frequent flyer programs are often worth more than the flights themselves. Those miles you're collecting are actually a kind of currency, and airlines sell them by the billions to banks and credit card companies. Banks then use those miles as rewards on their credit cards. Every time you use a credit card that offers miles as a reward, the bank is paying the airline for those miles. So, airlines have turned what looks like customer loyalty into a massive business in its own right. In 2020, for example, Delta's Sky Miles program alone was valued at over $20 billion, nearly as much as the airline itself. During the pandemic, airlines like United and American Airlines even used their frequent flyer programs as collateral to secure billions in loans. Only a fraction of those miles ever get redeemed, so airlines are getting paid to hand out points that most people won't even use. It's kind of genius, honestly. Let's move into what I like to call the nickel and diming phase of air revenue. You know, those budget flights where the ticket itself costs less than a night out. There's a reason they're so cheap up front. And it's all about add-on fees. When you buy a ticket, especially from a budget airline, you're really just buying the bare minimum, the right to be on the plane. Everything else? That's going to cost you. Want to check a bag? That'll be an extra $30 to $60. Prefer a window seat? Add another $10 to $20. Need to print your boarding pass at the airport? Yep, there's a fee for that too. Even those in-flight snacks and drinks that used to be free are gone. Now, even a small bottle of water costs a few bucks. This strategy, called unbundling, allows airlines to strip down the ticket price, making everything else a separate charge. It's a way for them to advertise those super low fares that draw you in while actually earning a big chunk of profit from add-ons. By making these services feel optional, airlines avoid hiking up the ticket price, giving you the illusion of choice. But really, many of these fees feel less optional and more essential. I mean, who wants to spend hours on a flight without a seat or baggage? In 2021, the global airline industry earned over $109 billion just from add-on fees. That's nearly 20% of total airline revenue, making those extras crucial to the business, especially for budget airlines that rely on them even more than the base ticket prices to stay profitable. Next up, ever check the flight price only to find it's jumped up when you go back to book later? That's dynamic pricing at work, driven by supply, demand, and a whole lot of data. Airlines use advanced algorithms and big data to adjust ticket prices in real time. These systems track everything: how many seats have been sold, the time of day, the season, even factors like nearby events or holidays. When demand is high, prices rise. When demand is low, they drop. But airlines don't just look at broad trends. They also track individual user behavior. If you keep checking the same flight, the system assumes you're interested and might even bump up the price, hoping you'll book before it goes any higher. This explains why flight prices can vary so wildly, even within the same day. A study by Cheap Air found that flight prices fluctuate an average of 53 times from the time a flight is announced to the day it departs. The difference could be massive. A ticket could go from $200 one day to $450 the next, and all thanks to dynamic pricing algorithms analyzing demand. Okay, did you know that your flight isn't just carrying passengers? There's a whole business happening down below. Yes, airlines are in the cargo business too. Especially on long-haul flights, cargo can be as profitable, if not more so, than passenger seats. Airlines transport everything from consumer goods and perishable items to high-value products like electronics and luxury goods. According to recent reports, cargo operations make up around 10 to 15% of total revenue for major international airlines. And for some carriers, like Qatar Airways and Emirates, this percentage can be even higher. The cool part is, while you're up top sipping on a soda, there could be thousands of dollars worth of goods right below your seat. It's a clever way for airlines to maximize every inch of space. We all know fuel is one of the biggest expenses for airlines, accounting for up to 30 to 35% of an airline's operating costs. And unfortunately, it's also one of the most volatile. Enter fuel hedging, a strategy airlines use to stabilize fuel costs over time. Think of it like locking in a price at the gas station for the next year. Fuel hedging lets airlines agree to buy fuel at a set price for a specified period, protecting them from sudden price spikes. For example, if oil prices soar, an airline with a hedging strategy isn't as affected because they've already locked in at a lower rate. But if fuel prices drop below their locked-in rate, they could end up paying more than the market price. In 2019, Southwest Airlines reportedly saved $400 million through fuel hedging, giving them a major advantage over competitors during price spikes. Okay, here's another genius move airlines use to expand their reach without spending billions on new planes: alliances and code sharing. Airlines have formed exclusive clubs like Star Alliance and SkyTeam, where they team up with other airlines worldwide. It's essentially a "you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours" setup. By joining an alliance, airlines can offer flights to far-off destinations without actually flying those routes themselves. Let's say you're flying from New York to a tiny island in the Pacific. Chances are, your ticket will list 2 different airlines for each leg of the journey. But thanks to code sharing, it's a seamless experience. One airline sells you the ticket, and their partner handles the second leg. This setup allows airlines to save on costs while increasing their destination count, attracting more passengers. It's a win-win that makes each airline seem like it has a massive network, when in reality, they're just pooling resources. Corporate and group contracts provide yet another steady revenue stream for airlines. Large companies, universities, and government agencies often negotiate exclusive deals with airlines to secure reliable travel for employees, students, or officials. These contracts usually come with perks, discounts, and added flexibility, making them attractive to corporations and institutions that travel frequently. And for airlines, corporate contracts are gold. Business travelers tend to book last minute, fly often, and are willing to pay for premium seats. Since it's on the company's dime, they're less concerned with cost. These high-paying contracts give airlines a guaranteed flow of revenue from frequent, high-value customers. While business travelers make up about 12 to 15% of airline passengers, they can contribute as much as 75% of an airline's profits. Large corporate clients, like Microsoft or Amazon, even establish travel agreements with airlines to streamline employee travel. Finally, airlines use fleet and route optimization to cut costs and improve efficiency. Planes are incredibly expensive to purchase outright, so many airlines lease them instead. For example, leasing a new Boeing 737 might cost around $350,000 per month, whereas buying it would cost over $100 million. So, leasing gives airlines the flexibility to adjust fleet size without taking on massive financial risk. Plus, the hub-and-spoke model has been shown to improve seat occupancy rates by up to 25%, making each flight more cost-effective. And that's a wrap. Airlines might not make much off that one ticket you bought, but through everything else we talked about today, they're pulling in profits from places you probably never imagined. So what do you think? Did any of these strategies surprise you? Which one seems the most clever? And how do you feel about these hidden costs and fees? Drop your comments below. Before you go, don't forget to check out my recent video, The World's Deadliest Plane Crash: What Went Wrong? Keep flying high with us. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and to be ready for more stories that defy the skies.